Hello students, welcome back to our channel. Students, in this video we are going to discuss a very important equation called Bragg's equation. Bragg's equation is used by scientists to find the diameter and radii of the molecules. So let us start. To understand Bragg's equation, let us first discuss what a crystal lattice is. The atoms of any substance are arranged in a particular manner in a material. For example, this is a material. So atoms inside this material are arranged in a particular systematic manner. And that structure of atoms in which they are arranged, that is called the crystal lattice. For example, suppose we have a material and these dots are, suppose, the central part of the atom, that is the nucleus, right? And these are the atoms, these are the atoms of this material. So this atom is like this and this atom is arranged like this. So they are arranged in a particular manner. So this one is here and this one is here and this one is here. So all these are arranged in a particular manner. So let me make the nuclei again. So central part of these atoms, these are the atoms which are arranged in a material, and this and this one and this one and this one, these are the nuclei of these atoms. So let us say this is layer 1, this is layer 1. So what happens? Obviously the atoms in a particular material are arranged in a three-dimensional manner. So obviously it only has one layer? No, it has many layers stacked one over the other. So let us take one more layer. Let us take one more layer. So we will again make a clone of this. So this is the second layer, right? This is the second layer, or we can just take the screenshot. No. Okay. Quickly, let me make the atoms of this layer also. This is the second atom. Because the atoms are arranged in three-dimensional manner, right? Atoms are not arranged in one-dimensional or two-dimensional manner, because all these materials have three-dimensional structure. So these are the atoms of layer 2. These are the atoms of layer 2, and these are the nuclei of these atoms. Now, since these atoms and molecules are very small, so it is obviously not possible to measure their diameter or radii directly. So we should have an indirect method to measure the diameter or the radii of these atoms or molecules. So if I take this distance, this is obviously the distance between the two layers, because obviously the distance is measured from the center. So this length is obviously the distance between the two layers, and since all the atoms of this material are identical with respect to each other, that's why I have taken all these circles, which are actually spheres, identical to each other. So let us say this length, the distance between the centers of the two atoms, that is their nuclei, let us say this length is d. So obviously this is what? If I want to find the radius of an atom, and so that radius will be d by 2, right? The radius is that radius is this length, which is simply d by 2, right? So if by some method I can find the distance between these two layers, that is d, So I can find the radius of the atom, which is simply d divided by 2. So how can we find the distance between these two layers? So let us make the first layer. This is the first layer and this is the second layer. So we have to find the distance between these two layers. So for that we use X-rays. We know that X-rays, like all other electromagnetic waves, follow the same formulae or have the same properties as all other electromagnetic waves, and there is a formula for the energy of an electromagnetic wave. यहाँ पे लिख देता हूं मैं R equal to so energy of an electromagnetic wave E is given as H into C by lambda, where H is a constant which is called Planck's constant. This is a very common formula for class 11th and 12th students, because in class 11th this formula is there in chapter 2 of chemistry, and in class 12th this formula is in dual nature of matter and radiation, which is a very important chapter of part 2. C is the velocity of wave, which is fixed for an electromagnetic wave, which is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. So this is velocity of wave, and lambda is the wavelength. Now to find the distance between these two layers, we must have something of very high energy which can penetrate inside, because atoms are actually electron clouds. This is a nucleus and there is an electron cloud around this nucleus. So to find the distance between these two layers, we should have something which can penetrate the first layer and go towards the second layer, and for that we need something of very high energy and of wave nature, because obviously if we have a high energy bullet and that bullet is not going to penetrate just two layers, it will penetrate the whole material. So we are not talking about the macroscopic object. We should have something of microscopic nature, and that is an X-ray, because for an X-ray lambda is very small, right? For an X-ray lambda is very small, therefore energy of X-ray is very high. That's why X-rays are used to take the pictures of interior parts of the body, to check the fractured bones and all those things, right? Because X-rays can penetrate through the skin also. So they have very high energy. So what we will do, we will incident an X-ray on, let's take some other color, let us say green. Okay, when we incident an X-ray on first layer, suppose this X-ray has some less energy, right? So this X-ray will be reflected from the first layer. This X-ray will be reflected from the first layer, suppose at an angle theta. Let us say this is an angle theta. This angle is theta, right? So it gets reflected like this. It gets reflected like this. Now we have another X-ray beam which is of higher energy as compared to this one. So that beam is capable of penetrating up to the second layer. So this X-ray beam comes like this and it reflects like this, right? So we need to find this distance. This is the distance that we have to find. That is the distance that we are targeting, because we are doing this whole thing just to find this distance d. Okay, now let's mark these points. Let us say this point is A, let us say this point is O, this point is B, and okay, let us say this point is A. Now if we draw a straight line here and a straight line here, such that this angle is 90 degree, right? So let us say this point is B and this point is C. So what is the extra distance that is traveled by the ray 2? This is ray 1 and this is ray 2. So what is the extra distance that is traveled by ray 2? and that extra distance is obviously this length and this length up to B, because these two lines are parallel, so these two lengths are same. So this BA length is extra. If I compare this with the incident ray, then this BA length is extra, and if I compare this with the reflected ray, these lengths are same, so this AC length is extra, right? So we can say that the path difference between these two, that path difference between these two is BA plus AC. Path difference between these two is BA plus AC, right? So what is BA? Now let us take a close look. If this angle is theta, so this angle is what? This whole is 90 degree, right? This whole is 90 degree. So if this angle is theta, so this angle is 90 minus theta, and this whole is also 90 degree. So if this angle is 90 minus theta, then this angle is theta. So if I draw this triangle here, this is OA and this is OB, and this angle is 90 degree, right? So this is what? This is D that we have to find. This is O, this is B, this is A, and this angle is theta. Now using simple trigonometry, we can say that AB by D is perpendicular by hypotenuse, which is simply sine theta. Perpendicular by hypotenuse, which is simply sine theta. So AB is D sine theta. AB is D sine theta, and similarly due to symmetry, AC is also D sine theta. So the total path difference between these two is D sine theta plus D sine theta, that is 2D sine theta, right? And since we will observe the reflected rays, right? We will observe the reflected rays using the any mechanism that we have to observe the electromagnetic rays. There are some instruments which are called detectors, and those detectors are used to observe the scattered beam of electromagnetic waves. So obviously there must be constructive interference between these two waves so that we get a wave of higher amplitude, right? So these two must add to each other. If this is like this and this is like this, obviously we want to add them constructively so that we get a beam of higher energy and we can easily detect it. We do not want them to undergo destructive interference, because in that case they are going to cancel their energies. So we will not be able to observe any light or any X-ray, right, in the scattered direction. So we should have a constructive interference, and the condition of constructive interference is what? We all have studied that condition in Young's double slit experiment. So what is the condition for destructive interference? That the path difference should be equal to n lambda. Path difference should be equal to n lambda, and that is the path difference 2d sine theta equal to n lambda, right? Because n, value of n is what? N is a whole number, like the value of n is 1, 2, 3, 4. So whenever there is a difference in paths of two wavelengths, which is a multiple of lambda, they are going to interfere in such a manner that the crust will fall on crust and trough will fall on trough. So you will get a wave of higher amplitude, right? So 2d sine theta should be equal to n lambda, and this equation is called Bragg's equation. This equation is called Bragg's equation. This is the equation that we were talking about. So using this equation, we can find the value of D, and using that value, we can find the value of the radius. This is how scientists find the radius and structure of molecules using this X-ray diffraction, right? Okay, how? Now let us take an example. Let us take an example. In this case, it is given that the second order diffraction of X-ray with wavelength 1 angstrom, lambda is 1 angstrom. 1 angstrom, angstrom, this is the symbol for angstrom, which means 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. So lambda is 10 raised to power minus 10 meter from a set of parallel planes in a metal occur at an angle of 60 degree. Set of parallel planes means these two planes. Obviously these two planes are parallel to each other. Find the distance between scattering planes in the crystal. So the distance between the scattering planes, that is d. That is what we have to find. So what was the equation? Equation was 2d sine theta equal to n lambda. So let's put the values. What we have to find? We have to find d. So what is the value of d? N lambda by 2 sine theta. The value of n is 2 because it is saying it is a second order diffraction. So for second order diffraction, let us put the value of n as 2, and lambda is 10 raised to power minus 10 divided by 2 into sine 60. Value of sine 60 is, this answer is in meter. So value of sine 60 is root 3 by 2. So this is 2 by root 3 angstrom, because it is 10 raised to power minus 10. Let's again write it as angstrom. So we can rationalize this thing, root 3 by root 3 angstrom. So the final answer comes out to be 2 by 3 root 3. 2 by 3 root 3 angstrom, and that is 0.66 into 1.732 angstrom. So 1.732 into 66. So 1143.12 angstrom, and that is right. So this is how you can find the value of d, and this is how you can use Bragg's equation. I'll meet you in the next lecture. Till then, all the very best.